So with the middle school, the other courtyard's not as critical. This one here, you really want to make sure that you trace that and make it its own geometry. Now, I'm not going to trace the whole middle school just so you guys don't have to watch that process for the next few minutes. But I'm just going to draw a closed geometry around that. See, like if the building was rectangular with courtyard. So if you select one geometry independently of another, maybe I'll flip this into an isometric view so you can see it better. And then I use my push-pull tool, and I extrude this to that 20-foot height, we'll say, give it some shape. Now you can see that courtyard start to develop in there. So if you make that courtyard its own geometry, then it won't extrude with the rest of the building, and you'll be able to see, you could even change the color of that to where the addition's going within the building.
Is there a way to change the scale of the middle school? Because I just completed the middle school, but it's all grayed out, so now I don't know where
If you select it, I'll go back to plan view. If you just select one or the other, if you take your arrow tool and just click towards the perimeter, it should show you. You do the perimeter of it without doing the courtyard first.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can change that to transparent. Okay. You might be able to move it. Take the whole geometry like this.
I just deleted the line.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you take the whole geometry like this, you can click move and just move it. I think you can move it off the site. You have to select the whole thing, not just the one face, but and then you can put it back.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4 photographs
in the middle school. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, there's that one block right there.
There's a few courtyards. Yes, there's one here. There's one here. And then there's four total. Like I said, I just wanted to show you guys how to extrude that separately, right? As a separate building, right? And that's just so you can see the shape of a courtyard in there. So I'll go back to top view, move this over. Right. This views is really helpful if you're trying to go back to the top view exactly rather than trying to orbit it around. But the next thing I want to show you guys is the warehouse. So if I go to File and scroll down to 3D Warehouse here, I can go to Get Models. And I think I'm connected to the internet, which is great. So you could put a pirate ship or whatever apparently you want in here, all kinds of different things. But we can say something like a construction job trailer, right? And there's several of them, right? Some have logos on them, right? We'll take this one, whoever that company is. And I click download it. It's going to ask you maybe to accept some terms and conditions, which I'm going to, and then I'm going to say yes, load this directly into my model, and it brings this in to scale. So I'm just going to, for now, set this down. You can rearrange the stuff after. You can move and rotate, and I'll show you some of that. And again, the warehouse, if you go to File, 3D Warehouse, Get Models. I'm going to need a crane. And you can look around and you can find all types of different model cranes, truck crane, crawler crane, hydraulic crane, right? So maybe I want if we were doing a marine job, maybe, put this barge job, whatever. I don't know what kind of crane. This crane is probably going to be excessive. Where it went. That one looks like it's drawn at a weird scale, so we're going to, that's a little small. We'll find a different model. The 3D warehouse is crowdsourced. So these are models that people drew that are out there and you can use. So I can put this crane, drop that crane right here for now. That'll be fine. It's a little small. I don't know why it's small. But we'll look for a bigger crane after. You can find pretty much everything you need on here. We looked up construction fencing. If you wanted to be really specific, oh, yeah, Caterpillar 330. Yeah, that's what it comes up with. If you I'm surprised. Sometimes you can find brands that have put their machines in the 3D warehouse so that they get the free advertising when people load them into their models. Dumpster. Waste Management does that a lot with their dumpsters. So, you know, a regular construction dumpster, a 20-yard or whatever we're going to have here, you can, yes, load this directly into my model. Something minor's messed up. Fix later. That's fine. I don't know what it is. Right? Drop your dumpster. Dumpster looks like it's an appropriate size. It's usually about that big on parking lots. So, again, I don't know why the crane is a little small. We'll have to find something for that. But you can load all your toys in here. Load your fence. So what we're going to look for is your crane's going to probably be set up in this location here on the parking lot. You're going to have to fence in that area so that people aren't walking underneath it. There's that loading dock in this location that you want to still have access to, or you need to still have access to. The loading dock's right there. Your trailer you're going to want out of the way. Your dumpsters somewhere where you can get a truck in and out. You can even show the roll-off dumpster truck if you so pleased, and then a fenced-in material laydown area. Also, and then make sure, again, you're not blocking any of the access to the buildings and grounds here, all these manholes, and then the loading dock for the elementary school. So maybe your job trailer goes over in this location, or wherever, your dumpsters, and then your material laydown area somewhere on that parking lot. Drop a few cars in there, pickup trucks for contractor parking, and you should be pretty much good to go. In terms of manipulating these once they're in here, if you select one of these, there is a where's rotate? We need another tool.
It was right next to the hand. You can kind of spin it around.
Oh, yeah, rotate. That's what I was looking for. Yep. So rotate here. You can grab a pick point on the model, right, wherever. Grab a pick point on the model. I don't want to do that. I want it kind of vertically here, right? Select a reference point, and then you can pivot it around. If I want my trailer like that, right, and then I want to move it. Same thing with my dumpster, right? Maybe I want my dumpsters not right next to my trailer. Or maybe I want my dumpsters lined up over. Control Z. Move. Maybe I want my dumpsters over here. Again, I can rotate and click, rotate on the protractor, click again. Once you have something in your model, you can Control C and Control V as copy and paste, just like in other software. You could put a couple dumpsters there, and then when I go down into a 3D orbit, right, I put my trailer at kind of an angle there. That's not good. That's tipping over. We'll have to fix that after. But your dumpsters here, dumpsters floating, right? So take that and move that back down onto the earth. My trailer I'll have to fix after. I must not have been I probably wasn't in plan view when I rotated that. So I rotated it at a kind of an awkward axis. But if you make sure you're in plan view when you're manipulating these things, it works out pretty well. Yeah, your crane, this crane's a little small, so we'll have to go find a bigger crane. But we should be okay other than that. Questions? I'm kind of flying around. Yeah, that's a good question. So how I changed the scale of that JPEG, guys, if you don't remember, was I took the measuring tool and I measured my parking space like that with the tape measure, and then I typed the actual dimension. So I scaled something, right? Whatever. I scaled something and I could type 18 feet, enter, and it'll ask me, do you want to resize the model? And you're going to click yes. So measure something that you know. If you're a tennis player and you know the dimensions of a tennis court, you can measure those. I usually use a parking space or a doorway. They're pretty easy, especially because we're not building off of this. It's just a 3D representation. If we're within a couple feet on the scale, it's probably okay. Make sure you save. You've been using Oasis a lot, and that saves automatically. SketchUp does not. It's like CAD, and it's going to crash like right after you're done. So make sure you save often so you don't lose a lot of work. With the free version that we have, you can't really do this because it gives you like a map view or street view. But if you have the access to it, if you have Pro, for example, you can go in and do a logistics plan based on Google Earth. So let's say, for example, we were building an addition onto Hudson Hall here, right, at the college. Select my region. You can move these push pins around, just give you enough of a view, right? And I'm going to just say grab, and it'll import that into my model, and you can build based on that. So if you don't have an actual drawing like I have, you could import the Google Earth like this, and then you have this realistic version of whatever you're doing. They even take it one step farther, and if I toggle the terrain on, and then I orbit this, you can see some of the, well, I picked a very flat part of campus, but you can see some of the variation in elevation as well. But it shows you that satellite view. So if I was doing this initially proposing on a project and I didn't have a PDF of a site plan, I could just steal it from Google Earth here, and it also does a pretty good job. When you import this, Google Earth, it's automatically to scale. If I measure here, like that side of the building's 138 feet. It actually is to rough scale. You can see I measure this parking space here, and it's about 19 feet, which is close. So that's the nice thing about being able to use the location and importing it. It's already to scale. But with a free version, unfortunately, it doesn't show you the satellite view.